afternoon to you. This is such terrible news for so many people who will be driven even further into poverty. What do you have to say to them?
Well, look, I talk to customers all the time, and I know for many of them this is a huge shock. It's been talked about for some time, but the reality of a 54% rise is bigger than we've seen at least in the last 20 years. But Ofgem's job here is to make sure that people pay a fair price for their energy and no more than that. And the reason this price has gone up so much is because the international markets, the gas markets themselves, are charging a lot more, both for the gas and indeed, therefore, for the electricity that we use. I am pleased that government have stepped in. It's not my job to comment on whether that's enough, but I know at the end of the day, this is still a big shock for many families. And I talk to many families, so I understand the different consequences that this will have for all of those people.
Is this correct to say that this is the 8th time the cap has been set since it was introduced in January 2019?
Yes, that's right.
That is such a very worrying trajectory. I mean, what are your predictions for the future? Because there's to be an overhaul in autumn, I believe. What do you suggest that might be?
Well, look, I think we need to be really cautious about what people are saying about the future of the gas market. The truth is the gas market is more volatile than we've ever seen it before. So, to be honest, we're not seeing signs that prices will come down quickly, but equally, this really isn't predictable. There are huge global factors here at play. You know, the amount of gas that a country like China might use has a big impact on the market. And clearly, some of the geopolitical things that we are seeing have a big impact on whether prices will go up or down. So what I say to customers is, look, we have to be honest with you. We're not seeing signs that prices will fall, but things are very hard to predict. But what I can commit to, as soon as those wholesale prices come down, the price cap will come down just as quickly as it's come up.
But what assumptions are you making about the direction of oil and gas prices for the rest of the year? Because that is within your remit. But what are you looking ahead to? What are you thinking?
So what we look at is what everyone looks at, which is what's called the forward market. So it's what the traders are pricing the future at. But as I say, those are changing quite dramatically, almost week by week. So we're not seeing signs that prices are coming down quickly, but it really isn't right to be predicting things that are simply too hard to predict right now. So all those people saying what will happen to prices in the future, you know, they're making their best projections, but honestly, we don't know what will happen to prices. What I would say, though, is that we're not seeing signs that prices are going to come down. And I know that's a tough message for families, and we understand the impact that's having across the country.
And how worried are you? I know you're saying that you can't predict an awful lot, but how worried are you about the prospect of Russia weaponising the gas supply to Europe and the knock-on effect of that?
Well, you know, I think your last interviewee said that he was following the gas price almost hour by hour. Well, here, we in Ofgem are doing the same. Now, clearly, Russia is a big supplier of gas, so their activity will have an impact on prices. But what we are seeing is the global market beginning to work and gas coming from other sources. So many people were worried at the start of winter, but what we've seen is what's called LNG, so gas that comes in ships, really ramping up to make sure that we have adequate security of supply and manage some of the prices we've seen. But clearly, though, the actions of Russia will make a difference on price, just as the demand from countries across Asia will also have an impact on price. We've seen huge changes in this market. We've seen huge volatility. And unfortunately, that does need to come through to customers' bills. But Ofgem, with government and the industry, will do everything we can to manage this on behalf of customers, particularly those most vulnerable.
I mean, customers have had to take a huge hit and will want to know whether they should prepare themselves for more. With hand on heart and in all honesty, is there any other projection than actually an increase to come, more increases to come?
Well, as I say, the projections are just simply not reliable, but we're not seeing signs that prices are going to fall. We are seeing what is forward prices that are higher than you'd normally expect, and that really is down to those global factors that I've described. What I say to any customer, though, is if you are struggling to pay your bills, then get in touch with your energy supplier, talk to them. We have put rules in place so they will treat you fairly, and equally, they should give you access to the sort of advice you need to be able to manage your finances, not just in energy, but across the whole of the household bill.
OK, some good advice there from Ofgem CEO Jonathan Brearley. Thank you very much for speaking to me this afternoon.